You've noticed it, haven't you? Something has shifted in the way they're showing up. The energy between you feels different, not distant, not cold, but charged with something you can't quite name. They're present but preoccupied. Engaged but elsewhere. Close yet somehow standing at the edge of a decision that's taking all their courage to make. And if you're watching this video right now, it's because you're feeling that strange, electric tension in the air around this connection. You're sensing that something is building. Something is about to break open. Something is gathering momentum in the invisible realm, and you can feel it in your body even if your mind doesn't have words for it yet. Let me tell you what's really happening. Your soulmate, this person whose energy is woven into yours in ways that defy logic, is standing at the edge of the most significant move they've made in this connection. They are wrestling with something so big, so life-altering, so absolutely terrifying and exhilarating that it's affecting everything about them. The way they text. The way they look at you. The way they go quiet mid-conversation like they're hearing an internal voice you can't access. You might have interpreted this strangeness as withdrawal. As doubt. As them pulling away or losing interest. But what if I told you it's the exact opposite? What if this strange behavior is actually the sign that they're finally ready to close the gap between where you are and where this connection is meant to go? I want you to stay with me for the next 50 minutes, because what I'm about to walk you through will shift how you see every single interaction you've had with them recently. Every weird text. Every long pause. Every moment where they seemed like they were about to say something and then swallowed it back down. You're going to understand what's happening beneath the surface. You're going to recognize the signs you've been seeing but couldn't interpret. And you're going to know exactly how to hold yourself as they move toward you in the way they've been preparing to for longer than you realize. If what I'm describing resonates with something you've been feeling, drop a heart emoji in the comments. I want to see how many of you are experiencing this exact energy right now. Before we go deeper, I want to acknowledge those of you who support this channel through super thanks. Your generosity allows me to dedicate the time and energy to create these in-depth readings for our community. If this message is landing in your spirit and you feel called to support, that button is right below this video, but only if it genuinely feels right. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. Now, let's talk about what strange looks like when your soulmate is about to make the move that changes everything. Here's what you've been witnessing. They're inconsistent in ways that don't make sense. One day they're texting you paragraphs, fully engaged, asking questions, wanting to know everything about your day. The next day, you get one-word responses that feel like they're typing from another dimension. You send something vulnerable, something real, and it takes them hours to respond, but when they do, the response is so thoughtful, so clearly labored over, that you know they weren't ignoring you. They were figuring out how to say what they really mean. You've seen them start and stop sentences. They'll begin to tell you something, get 3 words in, and then redirect to something safer. Something surface level. You can literally watch them change their mind about what they're willing to reveal. It's like watching someone stand at the edge of a diving board, lean forward, feel the fear, and step back. Over and over. They've been different in person, too. There are moments when you catch them staring at you with this look, this intense, almost hungry look, like they're memorizing your face or trying to communicate telepathically. And then, when you meet their eyes, they look away quickly. Caught. Exposed. Like you just walked in on them in the middle of something private. Maybe they've been bringing you up more in conversation, weaving you into their future tense without fully committing to what that means. When we go to that restaurant. If you were there, you would have. You'd love this, we should. Statements that create a shared future without explicitly defining what that future is. Testing the waters. Seeing how you respond when they blur the line between friendship and something infinitely more complicated. Or perhaps the opposite is happening. They've been careful not to mention you to others, not because they don't think about you constantly, but because once they start talking about you, people will ask questions they're not ready to answer. They're protective of this connection in a way that requires silence. Secrecy. Sacred privacy. They've been going through their camera roll when they're alone. Scrolling back through pictures that have you in them, even peripherally. Screenshots of conversations they can't bring themselves to delete. Voice notes they replay just to hear your laugh. They're building a case for themselves, evidence that what they're feeling isn't one-sided, isn't imaginary, isn't just them projecting meaning onto something casual. In quiet moments, when they're lying in bed before sleep comes, when they're driving familiar routes on autopilot, when they're in the shower letting water run over them without really feeling it, they rehearse what they want to say to you. They play out entire conversations. They imagine your face as they finally tell you the truth. They script and re-script their confession, trying to find words that match the magnitude of what they're feeling without scaring you away. Because here's what they're carrying. They're terrified that if they make this move, they'll lose you entirely. They'd rather have you in this strange, undefined, tension-filled space than risk saying what they really mean and watching you step back. So they're stuck in this excruciating limbo, knowing they can't keep pretending forever, knowing they can't sustain this friendship when they want so much more, but also knowing that the moment they speak, everything changes. There's no going back from what they're about to do. They've been watching you, too. Studying how you respond to them. Looking for signs that you might feel even a fraction of what they feel. Every time you laugh at their joke, every time you text first, every time you remember a small detail they mentioned in passing, they file it away as evidence. Hope. Permission. They've been irritable lately. Snapping at people who have nothing to do with this situation. Short-tempered with themselves. Restless in their own life because everything feels suspended until they finally do what they know they need to do. Their friends have noticed. Family members have asked if something's wrong. And they can't explain it because how do you tell people you're in love with someone you've never actually defined the relationship with? This strange energy you're picking up on. It's not confusion. It's not them having second thoughts about you. It's them having first thoughts about forever. Type, "I see the signs," in the comments if you're recognizing this behavior. They are preparing to risk everything. And that preparation looks like chaos from the outside. Let me take you deeper into what's happening in their internal world, because this move they're about to make isn't impulsive. It's not sudden. It's the culmination of 1,000 small realizations that have been building in them like pressure in a sealed container. The moment they knew. There was a specific moment when everything crystallized for them. Not the moment they started having feelings, that's been happening gradually, quietly, like sediment settling at the bottom of a river. But the moment when they realized they couldn't continue forward without addressing it. For some of them, it happened during an ordinary interaction that suddenly felt anything but ordinary. You were talking about something mundane, your plans for the weekend, a show you're watching, a problem you're dealing with at work, and something about the way the light hit your face, or the way you tilted your head when you were thinking, or the specific cadence of your laugh made something in them click into place. This wasn't just affection. This wasn't just attraction. This was recognition. Soul-level, cellular deep recognition. For others, it happened in your absence. They were at a social gathering, surrounded by people, maybe even talking to someone attractive who was clearly interested in them, and all they could think about was you. How you would have laughed at that joke. How you would have had the perfect sarcastic comment about that person's story. How being there felt hollow because you weren't there to experience it with them. They realized they were measuring every moment, every person, every experience against you. And nothing else was measuring up. Or maybe it happened during a crisis, not yours, but theirs. Something difficult happened in their world, something that made them feel small or scared or overwhelmed, and the first person they wanted to talk to was you. Not their best friend. Not their family. You. And that need, that instinctive reaching for you in their darkest moment, showed them who you'd become to them. Essential. Non-negotiable. Home. What they're afraid of. Their strange behavior is coming from a very specific place of fear, and understanding this will help you hold compassion for what looks like hesitation. They're afraid you see them as just a friend. That all these moments that feel electric and significant to them are completely platonic to you. That they've been reading into things, assigning meaning to interactions you consider normal. The thought of confessing their feelings and watching you gently, kindly explain that you care about them so much but just as a friend, is almost unbearable. It would require them to rewrite the entire story they've been telling themselves about what's been developing between you. They're afraid the timing is wrong. Maybe you're in a complicated space with someone else. Maybe you've mentioned being content being single. Maybe you're focused on your career or dealing with family things or healing from past hurt. They don't want to be another burden. Another complication. Another person asking something of you that you're not ready to give. So they're waiting for a clear opening, a green light, a sign from you that you're available, not just relationally, but emotionally, for what they want to offer. They're afraid they're not enough. That you deserve someone more successful, more attractive, more emotionally available, more healed, more established, more something than what they currently are. They're hyper-aware of their own flaws and wounds and unfinished business. They're looking at you, who seem so together, so clear, so whole, and wondering what they could possibly offer someone like you. This fear makes them pull back right when they want to move forward, because they're trying to become worthy before they approach you. They're afraid of ruining what you already have. If this friendship, this connection, this whatever it is between you is already meaningful and important, then declaring romantic feelings feels like gambling with something precious. What if making the move destroys the ease between you? What if it creates awkwardness that never goes away? What if they lose not just the possibility of romance but the reality of your presence in their life? Some part of them would rather suffer in silence than risk losing you entirely. And underneath all of these fears is the biggest one: they're afraid that if they're honest about the depth of what they feel, you'll have power over them. That you'll see how much they want you and it will change the dynamic. That their feelings will be too much, too intense, too all-consuming. That you'll feel responsible for emotions they can't control. That their love will be a burden you didn't ask to carry. What they're doing behind the scenes. While you're seeing the strange surface behavior, there's so much happening that you can't see. They're having conversations with their closest friends. Not with everyone, just the one or two people they trust most. They're finally saying out loud what they've been holding in private: I think I'm in love with them. I don't know what to do. And their friends are either encouraging them to go for it or warning them to protect themselves, and they're caught between those two forms of advice, trying to discern which voice to listen to. They're doing practical preparation. Clearing space in their life for the possibility of you. Maybe they're finishing up a project so they'll have more free time. Maybe they're working on their living situation so they can host you properly. Maybe they're dealing with lingering ex-situation energy so they can come to you unencumbered. This isn't manipulation, this is them taking seriously the commitment they're about to make and wanting to show up for it responsibly. They're working on themselves in ways directly related to being with you. If they know they have communication issues, they're reading books about vulnerable conversation. If they struggle with anxiety, they're finally going to therapy. If they've been stuck in patterns that don't serve them, they're actively trying to break those patterns. They want to be the person you deserve to be with. They're becoming that person in real time. They're also seeking signs from the universe. If you believe in that sort of thing, and clearly you do, or you wouldn't be here, they're paying attention to synchronicities. Numbers. Songs. Dreams. Conversations that seem to reference your situation even when people don't know about it. They're asking for confirmation: if this is meant to happen, show me. Give me a sign. Help me know when. And those signs have been showing up, which is part of why their energy has intensified recently. They've been creating scenarios where they can see you alone. Suggesting activities. Making plans. Creating containers where the conversation could naturally deepen without the pressure of a formal date. They're testing whether you want to spend time with them one-on-one, whether you seem to enjoy their company as much as they enjoy yours, whether there's any indication that you might be feeling something similar. If you've noticed them creating more opportunities to be alone with you, comment, I feel it. The shift that's happening right now. Here's what's building to a breaking point. They've reached the limit of what they can sustain in silence. The tension between what they feel and what they're expressing has become untenable. It's affecting their sleep, their focus, their ability to be present in other areas of their life. They're walking around carrying this enormous truth, and it's exhausting. The relief of finally speaking it is starting to outweigh the fear of your response. Something external has given them a deadline. Maybe there's a change coming, someone moving, a job transition, a life shift that means if they don't say something now, the opportunity might pass. Or maybe they've just hit an internal deadline where they've told themselves, by this date, by this event, by this milestone, I will tell them. And that moment is approaching. They're seeing you differently lately, and it's giving them courage. Maybe you've been more open, more affectionate, more available. Maybe you've been initiating contact more or sharing deeper parts of yourself or giving them looks that seem to carry question marks. Whatever the specific shift, they're interpreting it as possible reciprocation. And that possibility is oxygen to their hope. They've practiced enough. Waited enough. Prepared enough. There comes a point where all the rehearsal in the world won't make the actual moment easier, and they're realizing they just have to jump. The move they're about to make won't be perfect, they've accepted that. But it will be real. And they're choosing real over safe. The strange behavior you're seeing is the final stage before breakthrough. It's the chaos before clarity. It's them standing at the threshold of the most vulnerable thing they've ever done, feeling all the feelings at once, terror and excitement and doubt and certainty, and trying to hold their composure while their entire internal world is reorganizing itself around this decision. Now let me tell you what this moment really means, because this isn't just about one person confessing feelings. This is about something much larger unfolding. The divine choreography at play. If you're a person of faith or spiritual awareness, you understand that nothing is random. The fact that this person is about to make this move at this exact time, after this exact sequence of events, following this exact pattern of internal preparation, this is all divinely orchestrated. The delays weren't rejections. They were preparation time. Both of you needed to become who you needed to be to handle what this connection demands. If they had made this move 6 months ago, a year ago, when they first started feeling this way, it wouldn't have landed the same way. Either you weren't ready to receive it or they weren't ready to sustain it. The strange holding pattern you've been in has been creating readiness. The tension has been serving a purpose. It's been building anticipation. Deepening the connection. Teaching both of you how to handle uncertainty with grace. Showing you that you can feel things without forcing them. Wait without giving up. Hope without controlling. This liminal space between friendship and romance has been its own kind of sacred preparation ground. Their hesitation has protected the connection. If they had rushed in with intensity before building this foundation of trust and genuine friendship, it might have overwhelmed you. Scared you. Made you put up walls. But because they've been your friend first, your confidant, your safe person, when they finally tell you they want more, there's already evidence that they can handle your heart with care. And here's what's happening in the spiritual realm that you can't see but might be able to feel. Energetic cords between you have been strengthening. Every time you think about each other simultaneously, which happens more often than you realize, those cords pulse with light. Every time you feel what they're feeling without them saying it, every time they know what you need without you asking, those cords are transmitting information soul to soul. You've been in a kind of spiritual courtship that transcends the physical realm. Angels, or guides, or ancestors, or however you conceptualize benevolent spiritual support, have been working on both of your hearts. Softening resistances. Healing old wounds that would interfere with this union. Removing blocks. Whispering encouragement in your dreams. Creating synchronicities that remind you both that this connection is divinely appointed. The universe has been conspiring toward this moment. Timing is clicking into place across multiple dimensions. It's not just about whether they're ready or you're ready. It's about whether the circumstances, the season, the energetic climate, the karmic cycle is all aligned. And it is. Right now. That's why everything feels so intensely pregnant with possibility. That's why the air feels different. Reality is bending to accommodate what's about to happen. What this move represents. When they finally tell you, and they will, soon, they're not just sharing their feelings. They're offering you a vision of a future they've been building in their mind. They're handing you the keys to a version of their life that has you at the center. They're saying, I've imagined what we could be, and I want to make it real. This is them choosing you despite their fear. Despite all the very logical reasons they could have talked themselves out of it. Despite the risk. That choice, to speak even when it's terrifying, is an act of profound courage. It's them saying, you are worth the risk. This connection is worth fighting for. My truth is worth speaking even if it costs me everything. It's them declaring that they can no longer live in the in-between. They're drawing a line in their own life, before they told you, and after. They understand that making this move changes them, regardless of how you respond. They're stepping into a version of themselves that is brave enough to want something and ask for it. That takes something holy. When they make this move, they're also trusting you with their heart in its most undefended state. They're showing you the soft underbelly. The part that needs you. The part that has been built, in some fundamental way, to fit with you. This is vulnerability as offering. This is intimacy as risk. This is love as courage. What your soul already knows. I'm going to say something that might sound wild, but stay with me. On some level, you already know what they're about to tell you. Your soul has been picking up signals your conscious mind has been too cautious to fully acknowledge. All those moments where you wondered, are they? All those times you caught yourself imagining what it would be like if you were together. All those instances where their name came up and your heart did that little jump. Your intuition has been reading the situation clearly while your logical mind has been protecting you from hoping too much. You felt their feelings. In unguarded moments, you've sensed the weight of what they're carrying toward you. Maybe it made you nervous. Maybe it made you excited. Maybe it made you pretend not to notice because you weren't sure what to do with that knowledge. But your system has been registering their emotional reality even when they've been trying to hide it. You've been responding to their energy, not just their words. That's why there have been these strange charged moments between you where it feels like something is being communicated underneath the surface conversation. That's why you can feel when they're thinking about you even when they're not physically present. That's why your body reacts to them in ways you can't quite control, heart rate increasing, awareness heightening, energy shifting when they enter a room. Your own feelings have been developing in response to theirs, even if you haven't named them yet. You might be telling yourself you just love them as a friend. You might be trying to keep your own heart neutral. But something in you has been answering their unspoken question with an unspoken yes. Your soul has been preparing for this move just as much as theirs has. Before we continue, if this channel has blessed you and you want to support the creation of these deep readings, the super thanks button is below. Your support makes this work possible and I'm grateful for each of you. The transformation this initiates. What they're about to do is going to shift both of you into a new timeline. Not just your relationship with them, but your entire life trajectory. When they make this move, when they finally speak what's been building, you're going to have to make a choice. And that choice isn't just yes or no to them. It's a choice about what you want your life to look like. What you're ready to receive. What you're willing to risk for love. Whether you trust yourself enough to explore something that feels this big. If you say yes to them, you're saying yes to a whole cascade of changes. You're committing to letting someone see you fully. You're agreeing to build something with another person, which means compromise and negotiation and the beautiful, terrifying work of real intimacy. You're choosing to stop hiding behind the safety of just friends, and step into the vulnerability of I want you to. But even if you say no, or not yet, or I need time, their move is still going to change you. It's going to show you that you're worth someone's courage. That your presence in someone's life matters enough for them to risk everything. That you have an effect on people you might not have fully understood. This revelation will shift how you see yourself. And for them, regardless of your response, making this move is completing an internal journey. They're becoming someone who speaks their truth. Who takes emotional risks. Who doesn't let fear make their decisions. This is a hero's journey moment for them, and they're about to slay the dragon of their own silence. The relationship might transform into romance. Or it might transform into something else, a deeper friendship with clearer boundaries, a loving connection with honest communication about different needs, a brief parting that creates space for both of you to grow. But the innocence of what you had before? That's ending. And what comes next will be built on truth instead of implication. How to recognize the moment when it's coming. Pay attention to these signs that the move is imminent. They're going to reach out to make specific plans. Not a casual, we should hang out sometime, but, are you free on Thursday? I want to talk to you about something. There will be intention in their request. Weight in their words. You'll feel that this isn't just another normal hangout. They might seem nervous in a way you haven't seen before. Talking faster or slower than usual. Fidgeting. Making more eye contact or less eye contact, but differently than they normally do. Their energy will be jittery with the magnitude of what they're carrying. They might start the conversation with something vulnerable that's not quite the main thing. Testing the waters. Seeing how you respond to emotional honesty. Warming up their own courage by speaking smaller truths before the big one. Or they might just blurt it out. No preamble. No perfect setup. Just sudden honesty that surprises even them. I need to tell you something. I have feelings for you. I've had feelings for you. I can't keep pretending I don't. You'll know it's happening because your body will know before your mind does. Your heart will start racing. Your attention will sharpen. Everything else will fade into background noise. You'll be present in that moment in a way you're not present for most moments, because some part of you recognizes, this is important. This matters. This is one of those before and after moments. So what do you do with all of this information? How do you hold yourself as this move approaches? Let me give you some practical, soulful guidance for navigating what's coming. First and most importantly, don't make a decision before you need to. Your mind might be racing right now, trying to figure out how you feel, what you'll say, whether you want this or not. But the truth is, you don't have to know yet. You're allowed to wait until they actually make their move and see how your system responds to their real words, not your imagined version of what they might say. There's a difference between them saying, I think you're attractive, and, I'm in love with you. Between, I've wondered about us dating, and, you're my person and I want to build a life with you. The specificity of what they offer will matter. So give yourself permission to not have your response scripted in advance. Stay connected to your body. When they tell you, notice what happens in your physical form. Does your chest open or contract? Does your breathing deepen or get shallow? Do you feel expansion or resistance? Your body's wisdom will tell you things your thinking mind might miss. Don't perform a response you think they want or you're supposed to have. If you need time to process, say that. This means so much to me. I need some time to sit with this and figure out what's true for me. Can I take a few days and get back to you? That's a completely valid response. In fact, it's more respectful than saying something in the moment that you're not sure about just to ease the tension. Honor their courage. Regardless of what you ultimately decide, recognize the bravery of what they're doing. Making yourself vulnerable to potential rejection is one of the hardest things humans do. They're handing you their heart with shaking hands. They're trusting you with their tender places. Even if you can't reciprocate their feelings, you can honor the courage it took to speak them. Don't minimize what they're offering. Don't respond with, oh, you're just confused, or, you only think you feel that way, or, this is probably just because we've been spending so much time together. They know their own heart. Trust that they've done the internal work to arrive at this truth. Don't immediately launch into all the reasons it won't work. If you're not interested, you can say that kindly without itemizing their flaws or the relationship's potential problems. I care about you deeply, but I don't feel romantic attraction toward you is complete. Consider what you actually want. This is your opportunity to get really honest with yourself about your own desires. Have you been holding back your own feelings because you were afraid they didn't feel the same way? Have you been telling yourself you're fine with just friendship when actually you've been quietly hoping for more? Have you been protecting yourself from disappointment by not admitting how much you care? Or alternatively, have you been going along with this connection's intensity because it feels good to be wanted, even though you know deep down you're not romantically interested? Have you been enjoying the attention without examining whether you actually want a relationship with this specific person? Neither answer is wrong. But you owe it to both of you to figure out which is true. Ask yourself, if I knew they felt the same way I do, what would I want? Remove the fear of rejection from the equation. Remove the logistics and the complications. What does your heart actually want? Also ask yourself, am I ready for what this would require? Being in a relationship with someone you've been friends with means your whole social dynamic might shift. Friend groups might need to adjust. Boundaries will need to be renegotiated. The easy, undefined space you've been in will require structure. Are you willing to do that work? And finally, what am I afraid of? Name your fears specifically. Fear of losing the friendship. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of commitment. Fear of intimacy. Fear of repeating past relationship patterns. When you name the fear, you can evaluate whether it's a warning or just noise. Communicate clearly. Whatever you decide, say it directly. If your answer is yes, I feel the same way. I've been feeling this too and I'm glad you said something. I want to explore this with you. If your answer is not yet, I need to be honest, I'm not sure what I feel. This is bringing up a lot for me. Can you give me specific time frame to process before we talk about this again? If your answer is no, I care about you so much, but I don't have romantic feelings for you. I'm sorry. I wish I felt differently because I can see how much courage this took. Don't leave them in ambiguity. Don't give false hope if you know your answer is no. Don't punish them with silence or distance because their feelings made things uncomfortable. They were honest with you, be honest with them. Type the word clarity if you're committing to honest communication, whatever you decide. Prepare for the friendship to change. Here's a truth that's hard but necessary. After someone confesses romantic feelings, the friendship can never go back to exactly what it was before. If you say yes and enter into a relationship, obviously everything changes. But even if you say no, things will be different. There's now this knowledge between you. This acknowledged reality that one of you wanted more. That can create distance or awkwardness or a new kind of tenderness, but it changes the texture of the connection. Some friendships survive this transition and become even deeper. Some need space and time before they can find a new equilibrium. Some end, not because anyone did anything wrong, but because one person needs to move on and can't do that while maintaining the friendship. Grieve if you need to grieve. Even if you're excited about the possibility of romance, you might need to mourn the simplicity of what you had. Even if you're relieved to finally have clarity, you might feel sad about the shift. All of that is normal. And commit to communicating through the transition. This feels weird right now, and I imagine it does for you too. Can we talk about how we're going to handle specific situation? Address the awkward directly instead of pretending it's not there. Trust the unfolding. Whatever happens next is meant to happen. If you end up together, that's not an accident. That's the universe finally aligning what's been building. If you don't end up together, that's not a failure. That's two people being honest about what they need and choosing integrity over fantasy. The move they're about to make is one data point in a much larger story. It's not the final chapter. It's not even necessarily the climax. It's a moment of truth that will lead to other moments of truth, and all of those moments are shaping you into who you're becoming. You don't have to control the outcome. You don't have to make the right choice because there isn't one right choice. There's only the choice that honors your truth in this moment, and then you get to see what grows from that. Release the need to know how this ends before you've lived through the middle. Be present for what's actually happening instead of trying to fast forward to resolution. The uncertainty is uncomfortable, but it's also where real life happens. Honor your own boundaries. You're allowed to have limits, even in the face of someone's feelings for you. If they confess their love and ask for an immediate answer, you can say, "I need time." If they want to keep talking about it when you need space to process, you can say, "I hear you, and I need to sit with this alone before we continue this conversation." If they start planning a future together and you haven't agreed to that yet, you can say, "Let's slow down. We're not there yet." Your boundaries aren't cruelty. They're self-respect. And someone who genuinely loves you will respect your need for boundaries, even if it's disappointing to them in the moment. Don't let their vulnerability manipulate you into a decision you're not ready to make. Their courage in speaking deserves honor, but it doesn't obligate you to any particular response. You can appreciate their honesty while still centering your own truth. And if at any point this stops feeling good, if their intensity becomes pressure, if their pursuit becomes disrespect of your stated boundaries, if their love starts feeling like control, you're allowed to step back entirely. Real love wants the beloved's genuine yes, not a coerced one. Consider the spiritual dimension. If you believe that soulmates are real, that some connections are divinely ordained, then consider what this move represents in that context. This might be the universe asking, "Are you ready to receive what you've been praying for?" Because many people ask for love and then resist it when it shows up because it looks different than they imagined or requires more vulnerability than they anticipated. This might be a test of faith. Can you trust that you're divinely supported even in uncertain territory? Can you believe that whether this works out or not, you're being guided toward your highest good? This might be the answer to questions you've been asking in your quiet moments. Will anyone ever see me? This person sees you. Am I worthy of deep love? They're offering it. Will I ever find my person? They might be standing right in front of you. Or this might be the universe showing you what you don't want so you can get clear about what you do want. Sometimes someone confessing their feelings makes you realize, "I want this kind of intensity, but not with this person." And that clarity is also a gift. Pray about it. Meditate on it. Pull cards. Journal. Do whatever spiritual practice helps you access your inner knowing. Ask for a sign if you need one. And then pay attention to what shows up. If you believe in divine timing and you're trusting that whatever unfolds is meant to, drop the word faith in the comments. Remember, you're not responsible for their happiness. This is crucial, your response to their feelings does not determine their worth or their future. If you say no, you're not ruining their life. You're giving them the information they need to move forward in alignment with reality. That's actually a gift, even though it's painful. If you say yes, you're not saving them or completing them. You're entering into a partnership with another whole human who is responsible for their own emotional well-being. Don't say yes out of guilt. Don't say yes because you feel bad that they'll be hurt if you say no. Don't say yes because they've been so vulnerable and you don't want to waste that vulnerability. Say yes only if yes is actually true for you. And don't say no out of fear alone. Don't say no just because it's safer. Don't say no because you don't think you deserve this or you're afraid of intimacy or you're protecting yourself from potential future hurt. If no is true for you, say it. But make sure it's actually no, not just fear talking. They will survive your honest answer, whatever it is. Humans are resilient. Hearts break and heal. Disappointment is survivable. What damages people more than rejection is dishonesty, stringing along, or false hope. So whatever you tell them, make it true. So here you are. Standing at the threshold of something that will change everything, regardless of which direction you step. Your soulmate, this person whose strange behavior has been the evidence of their internal revolution, is gathering their courage for the most important conversation of this connection. They're rehearsing their words one more time. They're praying for strength. They're checking in with themselves to make sure they're really ready. And they are. Any day now. Maybe today. Maybe this week. Maybe next week, but soon, they're going to look at you with those eyes that have been carrying a secret, and they're going to let the secret out into the light. They're going to tell you that you matter to them in ways that transcend friendship. That you've become essential to their vision of happiness. That they want you in a way that's specific and consuming and terrifyingly real. And when they do, the world will pause. Time will slow down. Everything will narrow to just the two of you in that moment, and you'll feel the weight of what's being offered and what's being asked. I want you to be gentle with yourself in that moment. I want you to remember that whatever you feel is valid. That you're allowed to be surprised even if part of you knew. That you're allowed to feel joy or fear or confusion or all of it at once. That your response doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be honest. I want you to be gentle with them, too. To see them in their bravery and their vulnerability. To recognize that they're standing in front of you offering you something precious, their undefended heart. Even if you can't accept what they're offering, you can witness it with tenderness. This is one of those moments you'll remember. Years from now, you'll look back on this day, whether you end up together or not, and you'll remember what it felt like to stand in that electric space of possibility. You'll remember their face. Their words. The way your body responded. The choice you made. Choose consciously. Choose from your deepest truth. Choose from love, not fear, even if love means loving yourself enough to say no to something that isn't right for you, or loving them enough to say yes even though it's terrifying. The strange behavior that brought you to this video was actually sacred preparation. Every weird text. Every long pause. Every moment of almost but not quite was them building the courage to do what they're about to do. Honor that process. Honor what it took for them to get here. And know this, you being here, watching this video, sensing what's coming, that's not random either. You needed to understand what was happening beneath the surface so you could meet this moment with awareness instead of reactivity. So you could recognize their strange behavior for what it really was, love trying to find the courage to speak itself. If this message has served your soul and you want to support this ministry, the super thanks button is right below this video. Your generosity allows me to continue creating these in-depth readings for our community. Whatever happens next, you're going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to be exactly where you need to be. Because this moment, this move they're about to make, is part of your story. Part of your becoming. Part of the universe's plan for your life. Maybe this is the beginning of your greatest love story. Maybe this is the plot twist you never saw coming that leads to everything you've been hoping for. Maybe you'll look back on this as the moment everything changed, the moment you stopped hiding and started living in full-color truth. Or maybe this is the clarifying moment that helps you understand what you really want. Maybe their honesty will unlock your own honesty. Maybe this will set both of you free to find what you're actually looking for, even if it's not with each other. Either way, it's perfect. Either way, it's progress. Either way, you're moving toward your destiny instead of staying stuck in the murky middle. So take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Put your hand on your heart and feel it beating. You're alive. You're here. You're about to experience something real and raw and human. You're about to participate in one of the most courageous acts two people can share, the honest exchange of truth. They're about to make their move. The move that changes everything. The move they've been preparing for in all those strange, charged, uncertain moments. The move that will end the wondering and begin the knowing. And you, beautiful soul, you're ready for it. Even if you don't think you are. Even if you're scared. Even if you have no idea what you'll say. You're ready because you're here. Because you've been feeling this building. Because some part of you has been preparing too, in your own way, for your own reasons. The strange behavior was actually a love language you were learning to read. The tension was actually the universe building pressure before the breakthrough. The uncertainty was actually sacred space where both of you could become ready for what's next. It's all been leading here. To this moment. To this move. To this choice. To this new chapter that's about to begin, whether it's a chapter you write together or separate chapters you write alone but with new clarity. Trust yourself. Trust them. Trust the process. Trust that you're divinely guided and supported and loved beyond measure, and whatever unfolds from here is part of that love. They're coming. With their truth. With their heart. With their courage. Are you ready? Comment below and tell me, what's one word that describes how you're feeling right now about this impending move? Just one word. Let's see the energy of this community. You are so loved. You are so seen. You are so held by forces bigger than you can comprehend. This move they're about to make is going to shift everything, and you're going to navigate it beautifully, because that's who you are. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The strange behavior was preparing you for this moment. The tension was teaching you. The uncertainty was transforming you. And now comes the revelation. Now comes the truth. Now comes the move that changes everything. Be present for it. Be honest within it. Be brave enough to meet their courage with your own. And most of all, be yourself, because that's who they're in love with. That's who they're about to offer everything to. That's who gets to decide what happens next. I'm sending you so much love as you walk toward this moment. You've got this. They've got this. The universe has got this. The move is coming. Everything is about to change. And you, my friend, are going to be absolutely beautiful in how you handle it.